So, Danielle, we during this segment are going to talk about the body of your resume. If you've got your resume up, we're going to be speaking to your experience. And typically, what people put in this is the place that they worked at and what they actually did, their job title, which is great. They're going to put in the dates that they worked there. Just a note on the dates. It doesn't have to be extremely precise. It's too much information to say August 7th, 2017. Just the month and the year are adequate. And we're not going to go check that. Your employers aren't going to typically go check that. So just a month and a year is adequate. The area that most people stumble on is the descriptions of what they actually did. They lack they lack a full story, and sometimes they lack a claim of what they're actually doing. There's a slight difference between a job that you currently have and one that you've had in the past, and we'll point that out. Uh, but at this point, we want to describe how you can tell the story of how you understand the transactional nature of business. So if you can pull up your resume real quick, and let's look at patient account representative just as an example. So if you want to share your screen and show us that, we'll get started. Okay, experience. Sydney Health Center patient account representative. Read to me that first line.
Ensured timely and correct billing of hundreds of claims weekly for assigned customer accounts.
Excellent. So first I'm going to share with you what I love. So I love that it starts with a past tense verb. And that's the first piece of the equation that we want is a past tense verb. And you've done a great job. As I scan down through this, I see ensured, I see advocated, I see maximized, edited, and demonstrated. Those are fantastic verbs. You're going to want to know a little bit of your English from elementary school as we talk about this. Not too much, but definitely a past tense verb. In other words, you don't want a future tense like I am going to ensure. You don't want a present tense like I ensure that I make timely and correct billing. For those jobs that you've completed, you want to claim that full experience of having done it. So you've done exactly the right thing here, putting it in a past tense form. Ensured, timely, and correct billing. The other thing that I like here is you have honored the implicit I. What I mean by this is you haven't said I insured or we insured or as a team we insured. You want to take that out if you've got that in your resume because that's always implied. Whereas this is a personalized document, we assume that these are you doing the action, so you don't have to put that in there. Okay, so let's examine this first sentence a little bit and see if it follows a pattern that honors or that demonstrates that you know how to transact business. If you were thinking of buying I don't know, a new sweater, how would that transaction go if you have a salesman standing in front of you?
I would walk up to the counter and hand them the sweater so that they could scan the barcode and the price, and then they would tell me how much it costs, and then I would pay for it.
Okay, excellent. So you present yourself, the information gets scanned, and then they state the price, and then you pay the price. So that's a great example of a transaction in business. We want that same kind of experience to happen when someone reads your sentence. They're going to want to know what it is you brought, or what it is you're bringing, or what it is you did. They're going to want to know how much it cost, or how many things you did it to. That's going to be kind of like the price. And then they're going to want you to demonstrate you knew what value that brought. So if you can imagine this and as a transaction, as an equation, it would be BV or present tense verb plus a metric, that's the price tag, then an equals sign, then a business value. So let's explain this a little bit more deeply. If I'm looking at your sentence, let's see how many of those elements we can pick out. In fact, let's see how many of those elements you can pick out. So tell me the present or the past tense verb in the first sentence.
Insured.
Okay. And then what's a metric? Or what is the metric here?
Hundreds, I
Yep.
think.
Is there another one?
Is weekly considered a metric?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a measurement. A metric is simply a measurement. Okay, is there an equal sign? So you got 2 of the 4.
I want to say correct billing is kind of an equal sign.
Okay, it could be.
Are we saying that the sentence needs to go in that order?
Yeah, well, initially it's easiest to recognize it that way. When you get a little bit more sophisticated, you can do it, you can mix them up a little bit. But yeah, there isn't, so I think what we're saying here, there isn't an actual equal sign just yet. There might be with correct billing. We'll explore that in a second. But let's move on from the equal sign to the reason why you did it. What's the business value? Do you describe that to the reader?
No.
Okay. So that's kind of like a half sentence, not a run-on sentence, but a sentence fragment. If I were to ask you, why did your employer pay you to do this? Then you can actually find the business value. You may never have thought about this, but why did your employer assign you the task of ensuring timely and correct billing every week for assigned customers?
So the hospital could get paid for their services by the insurance companies.
Okay, so to ensure payment to the hospital for insurance by insurance companies, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if you would like, let's massage this. If you can, you bring up a text editor and just clip and paste that sentence. Resume. Okay, thank you, Danielle. Let's look at this. So what we're trying to do is put this into a formula that is the past tense verb plus a metric equals business value. Okay, so a equal sign. Let's talk about what an equal sign looks like. It sounds like just a simple phrase like to, or in order to, or so that, or what's another one that you can think of? So that the result was, so that it's again that to. That's the easiest one to use is just to, because that points to the value. Okay, so let's just add that as a, there you go. There's your equal sign. And then let's fill out as in briefly as we can, and we'll tighten it up later. Why that was, why we got paid to do that. What was the value that brought to the business?
So the hospital could get paid for their
Yep.
service.
Okay, so let's add that. So this is really good, and this demonstrates that you know the value of what you did. This is a subconscious thing, and you don't have to put it for every single element in your resume, but 2 out of 3, definitely no less than 1 out of 3 is going to demonstrate clearly, if not overtly, but subconsciously, that you know why you did your job. What I saw in my experience was so many times people's resumes would show up and they would start with just the present tense value. A lot of times they didn't have the metric. They ended up with just the present tense verb. This is what I did, 1, 2, 3. and it almost looked like a job duties. And then when I would ask them, because I'd like to know if they know why they were doing it, they couldn't tell me how many things they did it to. They couldn't tell me how often they did it. They couldn't tell me how recently they did it. And if I was brave enough to ask the question, sometimes I just dismiss the topic because I didn't want to embarrass them. But occasionally I would ask, well, why was that? What value did you bring to the company by doing that? How many dollars particularly? What was the impact to the company for doing that? And honestly, a lot of times they couldn't actually say why they did that or what the impact was that they did. So when you just give that to them right up front, it creates a substantial impression that you understand why you were at work and what value you could provide. The nice thing is for you is since you've already thought about it, you can talk about it. And that just perpetuates as we've gone through establishing your credibility, that just puts more bricks in that sturdy wall that says, I get why I was hired. I get how I provide value. I can tell you exactly how I mattered to the business. And it was at this dollar amount, or this many customer accounts saved, or this many successful billing quarters for payments. That's the exact impression you want to give is if I hire Danielle, she gets the transactional nature of business and I can count on her acting in an intelligent way to provide business value, not just because she's been assigned a task. That inspires confidence in me and my decision making to bring you on into the organization. This is what you want to do for each of your job history statements, including the one that in the role that you're currently in. The only difference for the one that you're in, again, let's refer to that, is you use a present tense verb if you're currently in the role and you're applying for a new job. So if I'm currently the account receivable manager at XYZ company, I'm going to state my responsibilities and what I currently do in present tense. So I ensure that, so that, and then you give the whole story. If you do that, your resume is going to stand out because most people do not put present tense value plus a metric. And if they do, they don't go as far as to say what the business value is. Okay, a word on metrics. Metrics are usually numbers or amounts or measurements. It could be cups of sugar or tens of thousands of dollars or number of people served. Often when I'm teaching this in public, I use toilets cleaned, and just to keep it simple. So my present tense verb was I cleaned 17 toilets every night to ensure that customers had a pleasant bathroom experience in the morning. That was my custodian job when I was a kid. I cleaned toilets in a hotel, and that's how I brought value. I peeled 14 pads of butter off the ceiling with a scraper in a restaurant to make sure that our customers had a pleasant, non-distracting experience in the restaurant. You know, I was in third grade. That was my job. But I can tell you what value that I brought. I also cleaned out the donut bin just to make sure that all the old donuts were gone and that I'd wiped out and cleaned the tray. So when the new donuts came in, no one had to worry about doing that in the morning. That's where I got my extra little pounds when I was a little pudgy boy. So fortunately, I worked those off in high school. Okay, we'll see you on the next one.